Well, look who's back. VelociSteve here, early October. And as you can tell, she's spotty, kind of a mess. So I have been sanding, doing some more sanding for a couple weeks now in preparation for real paint. I'm going to interrupt this introduction to establish expectations for this 5th video of the trilogy. If you were thinking you were going to see the airplane in its final painted configuration, well, sorry to disappoint, it's not quite ready. Think of this as a prequel for video number 6. The only reason why I'm pushing this video out now before the airplane is done is because of loss of daughter and all her peeps in Miss Malotte's B-Seed Calc class in Tip City High School, of which none of them have subscribed, keep bugging me about pushing out a video. So here you go, kids.
Hey Dad, are you working on the video?
No.
Hey Dad, are you working on your video?
No, I'm on vacation. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Hey Dad, are you working on the video yet?
Hey, welcome back, VelociSteve fans. Today is a big day. Today is Paint the Airplane Day, or at least really close to it. A couple more tasks to do, some spot sanding here and there, peel the end numbers off, and then mix up some paint. And then I'm going to change this white airplane into a shiny white airplane. Wish me luck. Check this thing out. This is borrowed gear, but dang, perfect for the job. Job being sanding the underside of the wing. Heck, I could execuglide all over the airport. Let's try it out. Yep, this is pretty cool. I guess I should actually start working now, huh? Well, night has fallen. I tell you, that chair, awesome. Made quick work of the bottom side of the wing here. All right, this is it. Gonna dename the airplane, at least for a short period of time. This ought to be thrilling video. Get some popcorn. Yes, I'm very nearsighted. And that is that. About 22 hours ago, I painted the bottom surface and the nose of the airplane. Looks pretty decent. It was quite chilly last night, about 50 or 55 degrees in the hangar, and I did thin out the paint per recommendation from Kirker. I spoke with Bruce at Kirker on their tech support line. Super helpful, nice guy. And he warned me that the paint would tend to flow, and he was right. I have a lot of drips and drabs, but you know, those are easier, excuse me, easier to remove than dry spots or overspray. So overall, I'm pretty happy. You know, some massive drips right here. Where'd it go? Right here, but okay. You know, we can work with that. I can work with that. Painted the elevators, tops of the elevators as well. So I'll mask those up and paint shortly and paint the other side. And then remask the plane. My strategy was to, cowling's already painted, was to paint the underside of the airplane and basically create a split line at the door and at the roof, which, you know, there'll be a transition point on the roof, but that's not very visible and not that much area to sand out if I do have a hard line from one area to the next. But yeah, overall, I'm really quite happy. I'm also happy I've got probably one more session to paint and be done with this abysmal process. So in addition to the bunny suit, I've got the fume hood. I'm using a secondary turbine sprayer to pump fresh air from outside into the hood and you know, have fresh air supply. But unfortunately, it's only a 50-foot line.
And to get to the far side of the airplane requires some gymnastics, and especially painting the underside of the airplane. It was awful. I mean, the bunny suit, I've got the line for the hood and the airline for the gun, and I'm on my back trying to spray the airplane, and then had to crawl under the thing several times to get to the far side in the corner. It was awful. I mean, it was like Ed White's first spacewalk. You know, it was bad. Anyway, that's the worst of it, I think, and you know, we'll press on. I would really like to get out of this plumbing suit at this point. Okay. It seems appropriate to provide a little bit of information in this infotainment. So I laid out some materials behind me I'll walk through. A short history lesson, or maybe you want to catch up on VelociSteve first video. The airplane sat in a garage down in Tennessee for about a decade. It was originally fabricated as a quick build kit from Velocity. So the airplane did have a rough finish on it for the exterior surfaces, but with the decade of sitting in a garage, in a barn, and plus all the construction activity that I put forth on the airplane, it was still pretty rough and quite an undertaking to get it to its current state of finish. I certainly made good use of this product called Icing out of USC. It's a polyester finishing putty. But it's similar to Bondo, but higher quality. It's probably my third tube. Granted, it is heavy, but probably 85% of the material gets sanded off and just leaves the material behind to fill a hole or deep scratches, or maybe create a fillet in a corner. These pads are awesome, right? This is straight from Amazon, sheets of paper. So you mix up your putty with your spatula. And then when it sets up, and the stuff sets up pretty quick, you only have maybe 2 minutes to work with it before it's done. And then peel off the next sheet, and you got good surface to start over again. So various rolls of sandpaper. I do like this. You probably can't see the brand, but it's a Duragold. Start off with 120, move to 240, and then 320. I do like these rolls. They've got an adhesive back. Can stick them to a piece of pink foam right here, and the pink foam seemed to work really well for me. It's stiff enough, but yet no risk of damaging the airplane from, you know, if I were to use a piece of wood or hardwood, right? That wouldn't work. And the foam itself for curved surfaces seemed to just have a great amount of give to do the curves. I do have a fancy bar here. Oh shoot, can't remember the manufacturer. But right, so sure. Sometimes I would use power tools. This Bosch DA with 220, made use of that. Then once the surfaces were generally ready, I used this Eastwood brand epoxy primer. Did that in my driveway. Again, go back to the first video, you see some photos of that. No complaints here. I probably would have turned out a lot better had I not shot it in the middle of summer in direct sunlight. Folks have asked what paint I've used. I use Kirker brand, and Kirker is the manufacturer. In fact, I think they're the source for other mail order auto parts houses like Eastwood. Yeah, Kirker's the manufacturer out of New York. The particular type I'm using here, you can read it, Ultra Glow, which is a single stage urethane. Once the paint was fully cured, then the final stage, or almost the final stage, would be to go back to wet sanding. And there are lots of wet sanding. Generally, if I had some paint repair to do, eliminating runs and drips, I'd start with 600. From there, for the general overall of the airplane, I did cut the surface with 120 grit. And again, this is straight from Harbor Freight. Nothing special about this paper. So following the 120, then I moved to 2000, again, straight from Harbor Freight. And the final step in the process is buffing. Thanks to VelociSteve for letting me use his Harbor Freight Bauer special here. He's waiting for me to screw this up, aren't you? Actually, this buffer did fine. It's got a trigger, it's got a lock, it's got a speed control for the throttle. And at Todd's recommendation, I started off with this 3M 3660 rubbing compound and a 3M pad. This happens to be, this pad's at the end of its life here. But for those of you really into the details, it's a 5723 3M pad. So it goes back to Todd here next week.
Hey Dad, are you working on the video?
Yes, finally. And thanks for holding the camera. All right, that last bit was pretty boring. I recognize that, but just another minute or two talking about the spray gun. So what I have here is a Graco HDLP, high velocity, low pressure spray gun. Found it on eBay for about 800 bucks. Well loved, but it worked great, okay? 4-stage unit, has this really cool paint delivery system. It's a 3M kit. The bottom of the gun has a positive pressure fitting. This line goes to that. And what that does, it pressurizes this canister, mix up your paint. Paint goes in here. This goes in the hard plastic container through the inlet. And the advantage with that is that the gun can be oriented upside down any direction and you get positive flow. Another tip I picked up from somebody on the internet was to use a remote control to power the unit on and off. And I found this on Amazon for about 20-25 bucks, and it works anywhere in the hangar. And the reason why this is important is that turbine pressure sprayers, when they operate continuously, develop a lot of heat, and that heat can work its way into the paint, and the paint can come out too hot and dry very quickly. So this way, when I'm repositioning myself or a light or something, I can turn the spray unit off and then click it right back on and off we go spraying. Okay, I think that'll do it for this video. Thanks for hanging around till the end. Trust me, I'm wrapping up the final details on the paint scheme. Hopefully it won't take another 6 months.
Yes, it will.
Well, that was just rude.